Welcome, dear viewers of DMR TV, to this weekly program, Purposeful Leadership, with me, Nyamjo Kestin, Father Nyamjo Kestin Gongbimi. Today, before we go into today's business, I would like to take you back to what we discussed last week, in the last edition. It was on the leader's relationship with his enemies and friends, and we were affirming with a lot of certitude that a leader always have enemies and friends, and we accepted their existence, be it in our institutions, in our companies, in our enterprises, and wherever place of work there exist enemies. And that is why today we shall be looking at another interesting topic, which is on ways how leaders should confront these adversaries, ways leaders should confront these enemies. It is not by violence. There is a way of going about it. How are we going to do it? But now this edition is going to help us leaders to see how to confront our adversaries. Before we delve into today's business, I will invite you to set yourselves with this musical interlude before we come back. Welcome back, and thank you for that musical interlude. We are talking today about how a leader should confront his adversaries. Adversaries here, we're talking about those whom he has titled enemies. And we are told that in a workplace, as in life, people are often our greatest source of both grief and joy. We need to understand that there exists some nasty, venomous, unsavory characters too in the workplace, in our institutions, in our enterprises, in our parishes, in our dioceses, in our companies. There are some incompetent, oblivious, and hopeless ones that also exist. And before we get to know what adversaries are all about, we shall be making use of a book titled Office Politics, The New Roles by Dr. Rob Young. It is a British psychologist who has published this book, and some of these points he has cleared them out for us leaders so that they can help us to be able to handle our enemies in a very peaceful, in a very fraternal way. We already have acknowledged the fact that they exist. So, Dr. Rob Young, in this book titled Office Politics and the New Roles, is helping our leaders because we know that there exist enemies in our institutions, in our offices, in our other workplaces. He is helping us to know how to handle our adversaries. And he defines adversary as anyone. An adversary to him is anyone who gets in your way, who impedes your progress, or stops you from reaching your goals. And so this part of our today's edition is going to look at how leaders should take or should tackle these adversaries. Sometimes most of our leaders think that those who are frank with us, those who are honest with us, those who tell us the truth to our faces are our adversaries. No, they are not. They are not. I stand to tell you that they are not. They are just good ones that you need to handle them and you need to work with them. Some of us mistaken these persons for adversaries, like they want to stop our goals. They are not. It depends on the angle which you are looking at it. There are different kinds of adversaries. Ones who are not intentionally malicious, but merely incompetent. They may be rubbish managers, terrible at their job, useless at pretty much everything. Human and very fallible. They may be ineffectual, and sometimes they are unaware of their own abilities. Adversaries are really quite rare. I stand to tell you that they are very quite rare. Some of your collaborators may not be supportive, may not be helpful, but they are not adversaries. They may not like you, they are not adversaries. But they don't hate you either. They don't hate you either. Remember, only a very few will set out to undercut you or to harm you. So the danger of seeing too many enemies around you is that you create a self-fulfilling prophecy, turning collaborators from being merely unsympathetic towards you to disliking you if you start treating them as enemies. Only occasionally should you be unlucky enough to encounter a real adversary. When it happens, I want to clear up the idea that they don't exist. Adversaries, they are there. In another way, they are not there. If it happens, it's no good hoping they will go away, because they won't go away. They are there. But it will be difficult for you to spot them. You are the only one with the power to deal with them. And so, no one else has this power except you, the leader. And it depends on how you confront them. So, let's talk about dealing with adversaries. How do you, as a leader, deal with adversaries? How do you deal with them? One of the methods, one of the ways through which you can deal or you can confront your adversaries is you understand the enemy. We need to understand the enemy. Adversaries come in different guises. Remember that if their actions are damaging, there may not be a malicious intent. And even when there is a malicious intent, it can stem from different reasons. In fact, adversaries tend to fall into 4 broad categories. And it's up to you to figure out where each of them stands. The first category of adversaries is what I call an inadvertent adversary. These are people who are simply incompetent and or are unaware of their impact on others. If you manage to tell them how you feel, they will respond with a surprise at how you feel and be ready to make amends. They will make amends. They will be surprised at how you feel because you told them how you feel. They are called inadvertent adversaries. It is because of their incompetence. And the second category of adversaries are what I will call insecure adversaries. These are bullies. They have psychological issues of their own and require to put others down to feel good about themselves. They are capable of bringing others so that they are capable of making others decrease so that they increase. They have no reason for doing that. They just feel good. It is just like a pleasure for them, personal pleasure, to make others go down so that they increase. They are just happy so that they feel good. They are insecure adversaries. You need to take care of this as a leader. That's what we call insecure adversaries. And the third category of adversaries under understanding the enemy is revenge motivated adversaries. These adversaries are out to damage you because they feel you have wronged them in some way, either for a real or an imagined grievance. They feel they are taking justifiable reasons to defend themselves against your behavior. And the last set, or the last category of adversaries, is politically motivated adversaries. These adversaries will lie. They will cheat. They will backstab and deceive because they see you as an obstacle who stand or who needs to be removed from the way so that they can succeed in achieving their own goals. They have their personal goals. Though they are with you, they have their own goals. They see you as an obstacle. So they want to remove you in order to succeed, in order to achieve their personal goals. These are some categories of adversaries that we have. The second way to confront adversaries is that as a leader, you need to identify the shapes and forms of political attacks. Politicking comes in many ways, in many forms, and in many shapes. Political attacks such as threats and overtly harmful behaviors are only too easy to spot. People are too clever to engage in openly damaging activities. So most political attacks are much more subtle and underhand. So politicking comes in many ways, as I earlier said, and in many forms. So every leader should question the motives that goes on around him. As a leader, you need to question every motives that goes on around you. You need to check whatever thing that is passing around you. You need to check. You need to find out what are the motives behind what is going on. If something feels suspicious, then pay more attention to it. If there is something suspicious, every leader should pay attention to it. That is how you deal with these adversaries. You have already identified the shape, identified the form. If there are suspicious motives, what do you do as a leader? You need to pay more attention to it. If it happens, yes. If it's happening the next time, you pay more attention. If it's happening, you pay attention, you pay attention. Remember that I am not advocating that you should be suspicious of all of your collaborators. Don't be suspicious of all the motives. Yes. You're not supposed to be suspicious of all the motives of your collaborators. Give a second thought to think about the reasons why someone is behaving in a certain manner. Could save you much against or save you from later pain. You should, as a leader, identify or try to check why someone is behaving the way he or she does. Whenever you see someone behaving differently, as a leader, ask yourself, why? As a leader, if you see someone, your collaborator, behaving differently, ask yourself, why? That is that about identifying shapes and forms of political attack. And another point, another way a leader should confront adversaries is that he should concentrate on the adversaries who count. In your working life, there are people you don't see eye to eye with them. Because of what? There has been some kind of enmity that has been existing. You are in your angle, another person is at his angle. Perhaps because of your different backgrounds, because of your personalities, because of sense of humor, because of some imagined offense or a real slight, there is always a need in fixing some relationships. As a leader, you should try to always fix some relationships. Are there some restorations? Do you restore? Do you try to fix some relationships? Therefore, you should not make the mistake as a leader, or don't assume you can snub people purely because you are a leader. Don't assume that you can snub people simply because you are a boss. Don't assume that you can snub people simply because you are a senior to them. Try to fix your relationships. Concentrate on those who count. Those adversaries who count. They are there. You know them and you know the reasons. Try to concentrate on them. Concentrate on them. If you have already identified them as adversaries, concentrate on them. Do not snub. Don't assume you can snub people because you are the leader or you are the boss or you are the senior. And the other reason or ways a leader should confront adversaries is by separating intention from action. Separating intention from action. Rob Young, in his book titled Office Politics, The New Roles, says in page 43, he says, if you feel someone is out to damage you, avoid blundering into a confrontation with them. Your very first step should be a step back. Step back from the situation and observe. Seek the reason behind your adversary's behavior. Ask if they are using such tactics to undermine you deliberately and intentionally, or are they merely blundering idiots, oblivious to the impact that their behavior is having on you. Remember here, the law talks about actus reus. What do I mean here? Actus reus here, that is the physical act of a crime or wrongful behavior. However, for a successful conviction, there has to be what I also term here mens rea. What do I mean here? A criminal intent or knowledge that they are doing wrong. If someone seems to harm you, take the time to separate intention from the action. Take your time as a leader to separate the intention from the act. Some leaders will merge intention and act. So, dealing with a deliberate act on you may require a carefully considered plan of action. But dealing with incompetence or a lack of thought may require only one few words spoken gently to the person in private. I underline two words here. Spoken gently and in private. Your adversary, you need to talk to him gently and in private. That is what we are invited to do as leaders. These are few ways which I have proposed for our leaders on how to confront their adversaries. It is very important that you know how to deal with these adversaries so that you don't get to mix up ideas. You don't get to mix up things. And the first advice is that you get to relate with them, because something good can always come from these adversaries. They are not in essence malicious. It all depends on you how to relate with them. Try to fix your relationships with them. Try to know how to go about things with them, separating the intentions from the actions, trying to identify the forms and shapes of political attacks, and then concentrating on the adversaries that really do count. These are some of the ways I propose for our leaders. It will help them to become successful leaders. It is on this note that we come to the end of today's edition, while hoping that next week, in our next edition, we shall be trying to see how a leader now lives with his enemies. What is he called to do? What are the acts that he's supposed to put in place, to portray? What is he called to do when he is relating with his enemies? So this one was just to help you relate with these adversaries, because if you don't relate with them well, you might not be lasting in your leadership. So, want to end on this note. We thank you for being with us in today's edition, and see you next time. With you, I am Reverend Father Kirsten, and thanks those who contributed in one way or the other to the realization of this edition. God bless you, and see you next time, next week, same time, same day. God bless you.